So, I'm just gonna go ahead and get started, I guess. Let me know if you have any issues with the video or the audio, and I'll see what I can do to fix them. Awesome. Okay, cool. People are saying they can hear me. Sorry, there's a little delay, and I've never done this before, so I'm both nervous and unsure if this is working. But yeah, so I figured we'll give people a few minutes to join, and I'll just chat. I know lately I've had a bunch of new viewers, new subscribers, so I just wanted to kind of introduce myself a little bit for those of you who may not have seen my first video. And based on some comments that I got recently, I think some people maybe don't know my name. I'm Caleb. I'm here in Chicago. It's freezing outside, and yeah, I've just been wearing all my knits because it's so cold. It's frigid. I started knitting about 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, in February, I think, of 2019, and have become super obsessed, as y'all know. So yeah, I knit all the time. Sorry, I am nervous, and I feel like y'all can tell. Somebody's telling me to breathe. Yeah, the delay is a little weird at first. So I am super excited to have you all here for my first live stream. I've gone live on Instagram, but never YouTube. And if you've watched my videos, you know that I edit them a lot because, I don't know, I never thought I'd enjoy being on camera, and doing this has kind of pushed me outside of my comfort zone, which I think is a really good thing, especially during this COVID times. I uploaded my first video just kind of on a whim. I didn't really think too much about it. Once I decided to do it, I took forever to like get something on camera, and then I edited the hell out of it. And ever since, I've edited a lot. I have a film degree from undergrad, and always was really interested in stuff regarding film, like editing and recording and everything. But all of my experience was very like theoretical because I was working full time in a restaurant. So for me to be able to do this really kind of scratches that other creative itch I've always had. I think knitting really kind of freed up my mind to be more creative again. I went to law school after I went to undergrad, and that really squashed all the creativity out of me. I practiced law only for about 3 years, and then I was miserable. So I quit. I moved to Chicago. I had saved up enough to live for about a year. Oh my gosh, there's so many people here. Hey, Zach. Hey, Tammy in Colorado. Oh, the needles are the ready, guys. Hey. So yeah, I saved up enough to live for a year. I moved to Chicago. I learned to code. I'm an iOS developer now, and I work at a shoe retail company on our apps, and I've never been happier, and knitting is part of that. And I think just kind of that huge change in my life that was when I turned 30, really freed me up to be creative again. And this, though it was unexpected to start this channel, has been one of the most fun things that I've done. And it's really made kind of this whole quarantine period a lot more palatable for me. I spend every weekend working on my videos, and I don't know, I just really enjoy it. It can be a little stressful coming up with topics every week because I try to be a little bit more topic focused than kind of podcast, which I love watching them, but I didn't know if that was really what I wanted to do, which is sort of why this makes me nervous, right? Because here I am sort of doing a podcast, but I don't know, I just really love doing kind of short focused videos where I get to kind of stretch those muscles of like editing and recording and spending time thinking about all those things and just improving all of that. I'm hoping each video gets better. I know sometimes I backslide, but as far as like the visuals and stuff, I'm working on it, and it's really fun. But it looks like we have a lot of people here, so I could start showing. Oh yeah, somebody sees my dog. They are very kind of restless, well, Molly is, and our floors are really loud. So if Brian walks around, which Brian's going to join us towards the end, like around 1:45, because he has been working on some really cool stuff. Molly may join us if she gets a little crazy and won't stop running around. But Zach says Zach Stout from the Stout Stitch said he was nervous, terrified to post on YouTube the first time. Yeah, I was too. Let's see. Hey, Caitlin. Oh, you're dying. Hi, Candy. All right. So I figured I'd start by showing you my whips. I do that sometimes, right? Like I'll sometimes have them in my videos, but I'm such a perfectionist that I always want to wait till they're done. I don't like showing them off, especially because then I put a lot of pressure on myself, which is what happened with the sweaters that I'll show you in a minute. But first I wanted to show you my socks that I've been working on because I've been so excited about them. And I think when I posted them on Instagram, people were so into these socks. Let me see if I can switch my camera. So I did a test knit. Well, I'm doing a test knit for Summer Lee, who y'all know I'm obsessed with Summer Lee. It probably seems like she's paying me to talk about her, but she's not, I promise. I just love her. I think she's amazing. So this camera's, okay. So I test knit this Amberwing sock, which is so cool. I'm knitting it, well, I knit this sock in Brewery Alana. This color is called Otoño. And then this other color is called, oh, somebody said they love all, oh, Matt said he loves all the plants. That is due to Brian. I kill every plant that I ever touch. So I told him when he got the plants that I'm not helping him with them if he wants them to live. I have 3 little bamboo plants. Those are mine. I don't even switch out the water. I'm hoping they live, but everything else is Brian's. So he will be very happy to know y'all love them because this is his new thing. We had 2 plants like 4 months ago, and now we live down the street from a plant shop, where it's a flower shop, but they have plants, and he goes all of the time. Every time we walk our dogs, we have to go see if they have new plants. But yeah, so back to the socks. These, this is Brewery Alana Otoño. Y'all know I love her. And then this lighter color is from Knit One Chicago. My friend Grace, who you would have seen if you watched my video where I was working on my Forbes sweater, which I'm going to show you. I actually finished it. But it's called Sockeye, and it's from Knit One had a mid-century modern inspired sparkle collection at Christmas. And I bought some because I'd never used sparkle yarn before. And they were minis, so I bought some and I used it here, and I actually really like it. The sparkle is very subtle. But let's see. But yeah, so this sock is super cool because I learned Latvian braid here. I don't know if you can see that. And then somebody says, oh, Andrew says buying plants, excuse me, is like buying yarn. And I think that's true. And the Needles at the Ready guys say they struggle with succulents, which I kill succulents too. So, yeah, so this technique is called Estonian inlay knitting. It's kind of like floats, but you do them in the front. It's so cool and so fun. This project was really interesting, and these socks are coming out this month sometime. I'm not really sure when. But then the other sock that I've been working on, which I was so excited about, I knit in Pitchfork Fibers yarn, which I don't know if y'all have seen Pitchfork Fiber here on YouTube, but if you haven't, it's hosted by Hunter, and it's so fun. He's so nice, and he has always kind of dyed his own yarn, and people have asked him before if he sold it, and he didn't, but he started this week, and he lives not too far from me, so he dropped some on my doorstep, and I knit this sock, which is another Summer Lee sock. It's the Broken Rope sock from our Hello Sailor sock set. And let's see, sorry, I'm trying to read the comments as I talk. So it's the Broken Rope sock set, and this sock comes in 2 variations. One is a DK weight sock, and one is a fingering. This sock set has like, I don't even know, but I think like 6 socks, and it's like $6. She's not charging enough. But this called for a strand of fingering weight and a strand of mohair. I just went ahead and did 2 fingering weight strands in order to highlight Hunter's yarn, because he asked me to try it out and see what I thought and then let y'all know. And 100% I love it. It's amazing. The colors were beautiful. And I'm working on the second one, which I have here in this French supply bag. People always ask me about my French supply bags. So not this one, but there was a video that I did where I kind of showed you what was in my bag. And unfortunately, French Supply closed their doors last year. I don't know, I'm sure a lot of you know that. I was fortunate enough to get it prior to that because their bags are amazing. But another bag that I really love, and I've talked about them before, are Paisley and Gold Sewings bags. Erica is the one woman show, and her bags are a very similar aesthetic. I'll see if I can get one in a minute and show you. So if you like French Supply bags, go check out Erica's bags because they're amazing at Paisley and Gold. But anyway, I'm working on the second sock and I'm just inverting the colors. I thought that'd be really fun. I kind of like to in my head, I'll make up story for my yarn colors. And to me, this is like a day at the beach. These colors are amazing. It's April Showers, and this one is called Duck Boots, which it's perfect, right? Like that is Duck Boots. Zach Stout said that Pitchfork Fibers yarn is beautiful. That's so true. Oh, Rochelle says that Knit One still has sparkle yarn left on their website. So Knit One Chicago, their website doesn't have all of their yarn, but you can call them and order it. Like if I ever talk about something from there, you can always call them and they do virtual shopping. But they have a whole line of yarn called the Number Series that's dyed by my friend Grace, who's known Depot Fiber and on Instagram. And all of her yarn, the Number series yarn, is available on their website. They do fingering and DK, and it's all beautiful. So if ever you see me talk about yarn from Knit One, like this, like that sockeye yarn from the Amber Wing sock, you can order that on their website. It's exclusive to Knit One. They dye it in what they call their dye dungeon. So yeah. Yes, Erica's bags are amazing. Okay, so Susan asked who designed both of these socks, and that's Summer Lee. So it's from Summer Lee Design Co. This one is the Amber Wing sock, and that is coming out sometime this month. And this one is the Broken Rope sock, and this pattern set is available. It's the Hello Sailor sock set. They're all kind of nautically themed or inspired, and her patterns are a complete steal. She has multiple sets. I just basically buy all her patterns, so I don't know if I'll ever knit anybody else's socks again. She puts out the sets and then charges like what other people charge for one pattern. I totally think she should be charging more, but she's killing it. And her socks every single one is beautiful. Every single one is unique, and she always offers variations in her patterns. So like this Broken Rope sock, for instance, she has the DK weight and the fingering weight. In her shorty sock set, I've knit shorty socks from her. I don't have them near me, but she offers like fade instructions or instructions to put pom-poms on the back. They're like all kinds of little things that make one sock pattern set. Like you can make a million different socks with all the combinations. So 100% recommend her. It's Summer Lee Design Co. And she also has a podcast and channel here on YouTube where she talks about how to knit her things. She puts up tutorials. She puts up like how to knit socks with magic loop, how to knit colorwork socks. One thing that people, I feel like I always see on Instagram people making scrappy socks and then weaving in ends. And the reason I've never made scrappy socks was because at the time, like before I realized her instructions were out there, I was afraid to weave in all those ends. And she has a highlight on her Instagram profile of how she knits scrappy socks without ever having to weave in an end, because she does it as she goes. So if you want to knit scrappy socks, go to her Instagram profile because it is like mind-blowing. She's awesome. So I showed you my socks. I have a list, I have notes, so if you see me looking down, that's what I'm doing. Let me see, let me make sure I'm not missing any comments. Hi, Renee. Just Renee said hello from a new subscriber. I don't know if you can see this if you're watching it back later. Hello from a truck driver on the road. My hubby is driving now, so I get to play for a bit before bed. Hi, that's awesome. Thanks for joining. Steve, the pattern with the design down the side, and I'll put all this stuff, I'll try to put together show notes and put it in the description, but that's called the Amber Wing Sock, and it is not available yet. I test knit it. I knit the first one, so the Amber Wing Sock, it's coming out this month though, as far as I know. So next I will show you mittens that I just knit. I am a mitten person, and I've said this before, and somebody said that mittens don't keep their hands warm, and I just can't believe that, because every time I wear gloves, my fingers freeze. I'm from Texas, and I moved to Chicago in 2016 in May, which was shocking because I left Texas, it was like 100 degrees, and I got here and I shipped all my stuff in like a U-Haul pod. I like packed it up and shipped it, and came with like a backpack. I had already moved, I had come here and gotten an apartment, so I had a place to go, but it was gonna take a week to get my stuff. And I got off the plane and it was cold, y'all. It was like 50 degrees, which at the time to me was cold. And I had no clothes for that. I came in like shorts and a t-shirt. So I had to go to the Gap and buy, jackets, and in May, which was insane to me. And I bought, since then, I've probably purchased like 10 pairs of gloves, like increasingly thicker, increasingly warmer gloves that never kept my hands warm. And I have dogs, and so I would always walk them in these frigid temperatures, and my hands would hurt, just like my fingers were in pain, because I had never even seen snow before I moved here. And one day I bought a pair of mittens, and it changed my life. Like, my little fingers getting to be near their friends keeps them warm. And my favorite thing to do is wear my hand-knit mittens. So my first mittens that well, they weren't my first mittens, but my first like favorite pair of mittens were these. Let me see. These are called the Quick Mittens. They're sorry, I wrote it down. Quick Mittens for Men by Jane Richmond. And I knit them in Big Good Wool from Pearl Soho, which, if you've never used that wool, it's bulky, it's very like woolly, but it's not scratchy, and it's an amazing deal. Brian and I went to New York for a wedding about a year ago. One of my best friends got married, and I was in her wedding, and we went to Pearl Soho like 3 times. Which, funny story, we were sitting there because we oh, sorry, just want to make sure I'm reading the comments. We were sitting at the table in Pearl Soho. There's like a table in the back, and we were deliberating on what yarn we should buy because we didn't have a ton of space to carry yarn home. And so we're sitting there talking, and some woman and her friend sat down at the table, and one of them was teaching the other one about knitting. And she was like, you know, we're in the middle of Soho, it's like busy, nobody has a bathroom, and Pearl Soho has a bathroom. And the lady was like, yeah, you know, some people come in here just to like sit down or to use the restroom, like these two. And so I very loudly started talking about what mittens I was gonna make, and I was talking about these mittens because I'm like, I can knit circles around you. Probably can't, but that's how I felt at the time because I wasn't there to use the restroom, you know. But anyway, I bought this yarn, I made these mittens, and I like this pattern, but I don't know if I can like 100% recommend it unless you're brave enough, I guess, or have the ability to modify it a little bit, because whenever I knit it, like the mitten top here where you put the mitten was supposed to be lower, and the ribbing up here was smaller. So there were a lot of modifications that, like little easy modifications, but little easy modifications that I needed to make these fit, because my hands are relatively big. I did put a hole in this one, so I'm gonna re-knit this thumb. I'm just gonna pick up stitches around here, cut the yarn out, and then re-knit it. But let's see. So you can see like they're not super long. which was a mistake on my part. I should have knit this longer. So I think whenever I re-knit this thumb, I'm just gonna pick up around here, cut this cast on out and knit back another inch or so, and then they'll be perfect. But I love convertible mittens. They're so useful. And knitting these mittens, and I also knit the tinsel mitts from Andrea Mowry, and they're convertible as well, just fully prepared me to knit these mittens, which are now my favorite mittens. I knit these for a mitt along. So Earth Tones Girl and Hey Brownberry on YouTube and on Instagram they do something called Maker Minutes on Mondays. And in Maker Minutes, they're really good friends, and so they just chat. And it's really fun and super inspiring. They're both just like the nicest people you'll ever meet, and they're so encouraging. And so they wanted to do a mitt along. So they had their Maker Minutes mitt along. And I had this piece fleece that I've been wanting to use, and I figured it was a perfect time. It's very Lopey-ish. If you've ever used Lopey, it's very like toothy, sticks to itself kind of yarn. If you're super sensitive to wool, I don't know if you'd like this next to your neck. I'm not, so I think I'm definitely gonna make a sweater with this, because it's 75% Rambouillet and 25% mohair from Texas. And I think the Rambouillet is from Arizona, if I'm not mistaken. And their mission is very like philanthropic. So they're right now donating 25%, I think, of proceeds to the Navajo and Hopi, I believe, indigenous peoples, the tribes. And so that's awesome as well. But on top of it, like, you can feel amazing about buying it, and it's amazing, so you will want it. But these are the world's simplest mitts from Tin Can Knits, which, if you've ever knit those, I feel like it's hard to tell. They're very blue with this beautiful kind of speckles in it. The Tin Can Knits World's Simplest Mitts are just regular mittens, and knitting these quick men's mittens prepared me to know how to just make the modification to make these regular mittens into convertible mittens. And this wool, because it's so woolly and it's got that mohair in there, it really puffs up. So it just really filled in. It bloomed like amazingly. It softened like so much whenever I blocked it. And these are just my favorite mittens. And you can tell, compared to the other mittens, that these are more appropriately sized for me. They come a lot further down. So, you know, I learned my lesson. Let me see. I'll show you. So, like, these ones, these World's Simplest Mittens, keep my arms warm because my jacket goes over. These ones, I always have to wear something else. So I'm definitely going to extend that further. But yeah, I love wearing fingerless mittens because I can use my fingers, and mittens keep my hands warm. Let's see. Oh, Andrew says he's only seen snow like twice. Can't imagine, yikes. There's snow everywhere right now. I love the snow. Even though I'm a Texan, I feel like I'm built for the cold, mostly because I don't like to go outside. I love to be at my house and get my money's worth on my mortgage, so the cold is fine for me. Brian is not as big of a fan because and if y'all don't know who Brian is, it's my boyfriend. You'll meet him in a few minutes, or in about 20 minutes. He likes to go outside and do things more. I do not. So this cold is great. It's an excuse to just stay home. So anyway, yeah, those mittens. But talking about cutting that thumb out and re-knitting it kind of leads me into my next thing, which is, if you've been watching, something that I have talked about forever, which is my Cozy Classic Raglan, and it's still not done. Let's see. They're like the mitten version of shorty socks, those brown mittens. They sure are. They're shorty mittens, and shorty socks are great. Shorty mittens, I don't know. Zach, just come visit whenever. Zach says he wishes there was snow down there, and just come visit whenever COVID is done. I don't know if it's ever going to be done, but whenever we're allowed to see people again. So anyway, I'm going to show y'all my Cozy Classic Raglan. I love this sweater. I think everybody should knit this sweater. And if you are a first-time sweater knitter, I think it's perfect. However, I made a stupid mistake. And that stupid mistake was that whenever I knit the yoke depth, I went like an inch too far. And so the like right here in like the underarm area bunches. So Zach, I can promise you only like snow until you have to shovel it. See, I don't really have to, I just have to shovel like a sidewalk and that's it. Oh, hey, Vincent. Vincent says hi. Hey. And then Anna says, I hope I'm saying that right. I still need to put sleeves on my Cozy Classic Raglan. You finish yours and I'll finish mine. Deal. Let's do it. But for me to finish it, so like I was saying, I knit the yoke depth too far. So it bunches in the underarm. So what I'm going to do, and the reason that it's been sitting here, is I'm going to pick up stitches in this spot here. Let me get the camera. Oops. Pick up stitches around this color change right here, where this light color turns this green color, and take about an inch of fabric out. So I'm going to pick up the stitches, cut it out. Oh, my fan is audible. I don't have a fan on. I don't know. Is it too... Can y'all hear me all right? Let me know if the audio is weird. So I'm going to cut about an inch of fabric out right here and then Kitchener stitch the whole thing back together. So around all, like this whole area up through the sleeve. Now, that's not going to be fun. Ceiling, I don't have, oh, the ceiling fan. They can hear the ceiling fan. Oh, you just, oh, Brian turned it off for me. Thank you, Brian. Thank you for letting me know about the fan. I apologize. I hope it wasn't too distracting. But yeah, so I'm going to do that. And the reason that I forgot we have ceiling fans, to be honest, because up until October, I lived in a basement unit, and Brian did as well. He actually lived in the basement unit right below us. And now we can hear our friend down there. I'm calling him a friend. He's very loud, and he works at a restaurant. And so his schedule is a lot different than ours. So we now realize that everybody can hear everything from down there when they're up here. But anyway, I digress. I'm not used to having a ceiling fan because my ceiling was like I could touch it. But so with my Cozy Classic Raglan, I just have to do that. And then I actually didn't finish the sleeves here for the sole reason that once I cut it and Kitchener stitch it back together, I'm taking about an inch out. I want to make sure that the sleeves fit me. So I left them so that I can try it on when that process is done and then finish the sleeve. But other than that, it's done. Like the bottom hem is done. The thing that's scaring me about the Kitchener stitching is not, I know how to Kitchener stitch. I can Kitchener stitch in my sleep, but this has mohair in it. So it's one strand of fingering weight wool and one strand of mohair, which is beautiful, but I'm concerned about the mohair sticking to itself whenever I Kitchener stitch and it just being kind of a pain, and it's, you know, 200 and something stitches. So I'm gonna do it, but I just need to sit down and do it. And I'm planning to record it. I did talk to my friend Tommy Schaefer. They are a designer. They were on my expert sweater knitting video, and actually, I feel like Tommy just released. Yes, they actually just released they have a pair of Bernie mitts that have been blowing up the internet. So go check out Tommy's Ravelry page. I'll link it for I think they're called the M4A Bernie mitts. I hope I got it right, but I'll put a link. So anyway, Tommy had done that with the sweater that they knit, where they did that sweater surgery. So I talked to Tommy and recorded it so that I could put together an episode for all of you about my little process and journey, and I just haven't done it. But it is on the docket. I just, have to get up the courage to do it and, have the patience, and I just haven't, so I've not done it. So somebody asked if thank you for the compliments on the sweater. I used, so before, I'll show you. Oops, I keep clicking the wrong thing. So I used, this blue is Long Dog yarn, Silent Night, I believe. And the, which other color was it? Two of them I made, I dyed. And I'm trying to remember which one was which. Oh, sorry. Okay, so this blue was Long Dog, and this stripe here, which is different from this stripe, they look very similar, but this stripe is some Three Irish Girls yarn. I do not recall the name. I got it at Stitches Midwest in the before times. And then this one here, this lighter stripe, is kind of this very light tonal pinkish yarn that I hand dyed. It was just like a happy accident, and I actually wrote it down so I could reproduce it, but I did that, and then I believe this one was my hand dye as well. It's been so long. So I used two that I dyed myself and two that I bought. And then the green, the mohair is green. It's like an emerald green. It is from Knit Picks. So these two were about $32 each, these two fingering weights. The mohair, I want to say for the whole sweater's quantity was about around 60 something, not including shipping. And then it's hard to say on the hand dyed how much that was because, you know, I had to buy all the materials and everything, which I didn't buy for this sweater. I had them, but I got the yarn from Dyer Supplier. So, and somebody asked if the stripes on the sleeves will match up whenever I cut it out, and the answer is no, which is another thing that I'm a little concerned about, which is why I'm taking the yarn out, I think here or here, because I'm gonna take it out half of one and half of the other, about an inch. So there will be two narrower stripes, but by taking out two colors, I'm hoping it will still not be super noticeable because only two will be slightly shorter. So that's my plan. And somebody said the Kitchener part should be fine. The removal of the 1 inches may require quite a bit of patience and perseverance, which I have both of those things. It's just, when am I gonna shore myself up to do it, I guess. So, oh, I have so much to get through. Okay, so then the next thing that y'all have seen me talk about a million times is my Forbes sweater. This is the one that my friend Grace, Gnome Depot Fiber, helped me with. And this is in Brooklyn Tweed's Ranch 02, which I got at their Brooklyn Tweed tint sale. I am obsessed with this sweater, and all I have to do is block it and weave in the ends. And the only reason that I've not been super excited about, somebody says the thinner stripes on the Cozy Classic Raglan will be a great design feature, and thank you, I agree, I appreciate that. But I haven't been excited about finishing my sweaters because I don't go anywhere, and my body has changed during COVID, which is fine, but I was concerned about fit. I was just gonna be upset, you know, if my body isn't the same size when I finish these sweaters that have been languishing as it was when I started them, but it's fine. Trying to be a little bit better about that, so I think it'll all be fine, and now I'm kind of getting my motivation back. But this sweater is a bottom up, I always get this wrong. So I talk about it in the original video. It is a yoke sweater, but it's knit from the bottom up. So you're supposed to cast on at the bottom, knit the body up. You knit the sleeves separately, which you can see I used Allie Cat Knits from Instagram, her tip from my sweater video to make sure that my sleeves are the same. So you knit the sleeve up, you join them here at the widest point across the armpit, and then you knit the yoke up. Well, I'm not the biggest fan of doing that, so I just didn't. And I talked to my friend Grace, who told me what I could do was provisionally cast on the widest part. So I provisionally cast on the stitches here all the way across and up the other sleeve, and I knit the yoke. Then I picked up those stitches when I was done with the yoke, and I knit the body down, so like a top-down sweater, and then I knit the sleeves down so I could try it on as I went. And honestly, y'all, I was so nervous about this, and it worked out perfectly. I love this sweater. If you know me at all, you know that I don't wear crazy things like loud colors or anything. I think they look great for people who that's their style and it's just not mine. I used to dress like a box of crayons exploded on me, and I see pictures of it and I just looked crazy. And so I feel like I've kind of in my mid-30s discovered my actual style, and it's this, right? Like earthy colors and subtle kind of fun stuff. And for this, for me, is that like this textured yoke it's designed by Jared Flood, is just like, it's so good. It was so fun to knit. So what I did in order to not mess up the design was, for each repeat of the chart, I had stitch markers so that I knew at the end of each repeat if I messed up and needed to tink back, I would only need to tink back to my last, where my that repeat began. So I did that, knit the yoke no problem, did that super fast, and then kind of put it on hold because I was nervous about the rest of it, because it was a process that was unfamiliar to me, and it was new, and I'm not the biggest fan of new things, right? But then whenever I finally did it, it could not have been easier. I was nervous that you would really see, because whenever you pick up from the Provisional Cast On and knit in the other direction, I read and people had told me that your stitches will be off by a half a stitch, which would then make that line very visible. And I really don't see that. You can see the line, and that is a tension issue. I think I used the wrong yarn for my Provisional Cast On, which made the tension of those provisionally cast on stitches a little bit different, but I think that's going to block out, honestly. And I am obsessed with this sweater, and I will 100% knit a sweater this way again. If y'all are interested, I can do like a whole little video on the process, because this was very quick. Let's see. Oh, thank you. Somebody said, beautiful, the sweater's stunning. It's awesome. Thank you, I appreciate that. Somebody said that's the exact opposite. Top down yoke and bottom up body sleeves for me. Oh, Andrew said that, okay. Taking out more than 1 inch and adding a contrast color. I don't know. So for the Cozy Classic Raglan is what that person is talking about, taking out more than 1 inch and then adding another color, but I'm so in love with these colors, I don't want to mess that up. So I think I'm gonna stick with it and just hope that the shorter stripe doesn't look bad. Let's see. Yeah, so again, this is the Forbes Sweater by Jared Flood, and I knit it in the yarn called for, which is, oh, my computer's about to go to sleep. Let me plug that in. Give me 2 seconds. Y'all are gonna see I'm wearing sweatpants, but that's what I live in now. I thought I had this plugged in. I apologize about that. Okay, so this was a design written for the Ranch 02 yarn, which from Brooklyn Tweed, it's a ranch specific yarn. All their yarn is like milled in America, dyed in America. The sheep are here in America. And this is a wool that comes all from one farm in, I wish I remembered, I do not. But it's a worsted weight woolen spun yarn. It's very similar, like the woolen spun is what they do for their shelter and loft, but this yarn is so much like sturdier and it's thicker, and it made the most amazing fabric, and I'm really glad I used it. This color is called Burdock, and I got it at their Brooklyn Tweed tent sale. So this yarn is very, very expensive. It's but I mean, it makes sense, right? It's ranch specific, it's all made in America, but it's generally, I want to say around $15 for about 100 yards, but I got this for like a fraction of that. So the whole sweater was, I want to say it was less than $70. So, but that was, I very much had to log on and buy it immediately. So there was no thought put into it. I was like, oh, I want that color. I'm gonna buy like 13 skeins. So I love this sweater, and I will probably talk about it more, especially once it's all finished, because it's amazing. Let's see. The year of sweatpants or a Saturday uniform for me. Honestly, I wear my sweatpants and a bathrobe every day because I work from this couch right here. And Brian makes fun of me and says I move from the table to the couch, and from the couch to the table, and I'm in a bathrobe all the time. So, and I sometimes, when I'm waiting on packages, I stand in the window and I'm like, where is the mail? And he says I look like a crazy person. But I want my packages, you know. Well, joggers are different. They're like, somebody says I think they're calling them joggers now, but joggers are different. I'm not 100% sure how, but joggers don't really look great on me, so I got sweats. Let's see. So yeah, those are my two sweaters. So next I'll show you a couple more things, and I'm going a little longer than I wanted, but I'm having fun. So I did a video a little while back where I talked about the things that I wanted to make for winter, my winter accessories that I wanted to make. And I actually made some of them, which is a shocking. Vincent from Vesuvius Crafts says joggers have a tapered leg. And that makes sense. Don't wear your Fitbit to count steps when you're working from home. I don't even bother putting on my Apple Watch because it's real sad. My friend Alicia just got an Apple Watch because she's very fit. She like has a Peloton and a garage gym and all that. And she texted me one day and was like, do you even go to the bathroom? Because my step count was so low. And I'm like, girl, leave me alone. Also, the way that I knit is continental, and I wear my watch here. And so I do this constantly. And sometimes my watch will say I walked like 13 miles because it's counting my knitting. So I take my watch off and I forget to put it back on. And so I tried wearing it on this wrist and it still counts my knitting, which I think knitting's exercise, but you know, scientists do not agree, and neither does Brian. He's shaking his head. So anyway, back to winter accessories. I actually knit some of them, which I've shown you all this, which is my Fade Into You shawl from Matt Akers, who I did the interview with, and he is just amazing. And this is just a garter and brioche shawl. So I got a bunch of minis for Christmas, and I used them for these contrast colors. This stripe here, so Matt's pattern used to knit it, he used Sweet Georgia minis, a mini set. And those skeins were, I believe, 25 or 28 grams. So they were a little longer. I had 20 gram minis, had a little bit less yarn. So all I did was cut this brioche row short by 2 brioche rows, which was 4 repeats of brioche. And you can't tell that it's shorter. And then I just added 4 extra rows of garter. So I knit this, all these were minis. Each row uses a smaller amount. And I just used 6 different colors, and I just love this thing. I do need to block it still. I want it to be ever so slightly larger, but the main wool is good wool, which is the same wool from these Quick Men's mittens, except this is big good wool, and it's like a bulky 5 weight. And the good wool is they call it a DK, and I think they're liars. Not really, it's just a very light DK, so it's sort of sport, and it's amazing. I used just over 1 skein, and they were about $13 each. It's a steal. And it is not, it's so rustic and woolly, which I love, but it's not scratchy. So it was perfect for this project. And I think it really kind of tones down for what for me are crazier colors. I don't tend to wear yellow because it just brings out any yellow undertones in my skin, but I think as a little pop, it's fun. And then I love just the brioche nature of it. It's double-sided, so I can always wear this side, which is just equally beautiful, I think. This is like, this section here is where I live, right? Like normally I would be just these dark colors, but I added in, excuse me, the red and the yellow just for a little fun, and I'm really happy that I did. I love this thing. Let's see. There's some calibrating you can do to not have knitting count on a Fitbit. I have an Apple Watch and I've tried to calibrate it, and I don't know. I need to call Tim Cook maybe. Just kidding, I can't do that. Thank you, Vincent. He said absolutely beautiful. Matt put a bunch of heart eyes. I appreciate that, Matt. Thank you for such a beautiful pattern. Somebody said they loved the tutorial on how to fix a mistake in brioche. Thank you. I actually learned how to fix the mistake in brioche by having a bunch of mistakes in another project I knit from Big Wood Wool, which was the Seafarer's scarf from Pearl Soho. It's a fisherman's rib scarf, and the fisherman's rib and the brioche are so similar in construction that fixing the mistakes in that scarf over a year ago prepared me whenever I got to brioche recently. Knit One Chicago put on a brioche knit along, and that's kind of how I learned. But it prepared me to fix brioche because you fix them very much in the same way. So this was the first thing that I knit from my winter accessories video. I also talked about knitting World's Simplest Mittens, so I've done that. So that's two things. And then another thing that I talked about, and I haven't shown this to y'all really, except on Instagram, I am in the process of knitting the, let's see, Partners in Crime shawl from Max the Knitter. And I love it. I've just been so focused on smaller projects right now. So this, it's hard to tell. Here is a green. Let me see if you can tell here. It's this green. It's not wanting to focus. And this is Harrisville Shetland. So it's a fingering weight, very thin kind of fingering weight, but I'm using yarn from the cone, so it still has a little bit of spinning oil, and that will wash out, and it should puff up. It should bloom. So I steam blocked this so it would lay flat, but I'm using this from the cone. The cone was a really good deal. It was like $30 or something. My friend and I both bought a cone of this lighter color and split it because she's knitting the shawl and her contrast color is a little bit different. She's using a sort of mustard, which is closer to what Max had in his pattern. And then there's a little bit of Surrey, and I actually am using this Surrey from that I got at Knit One Chicago, and it is it's called Laura, and it was like $11, which was crazy good deal. So this whole shawl is gonna be around $67, I think, to make, and I love it. I'm really excited. I just have been focusing on small things right now. So sorry, I keep. No. But yeah, so that is the last thing that I was making from my winter accessories video, and hopefully one day I'm gonna sit down and focus on it. It is, it's just a slip stitch design, so it's mosaic knitting. There's no, let me show you actually. There's no floats, so you're just, essentially it's like a knit two, slip two kind of thing. It's gonna get up to a really high stitch count, and I need to prepare myself. And then at the end you go and you do an applied I-cord. But it's beautiful. I love it, and it will take center stage soon, I'm sure. But yeah, that's all the whips that I really have to show you. So I wanted to just talk a little bit about my make along just really quickly, and then Brian was gonna pop on, show you some of his stuff, and then we'll be done. I was hoping to be done at 2, so it would just be an hour, but maybe around like 10 minutes after the hour. But yeah, so my make along, and I hope everybody's joining it. It's the Level Up in 2021 knit along. But if you want to crochet or whatever, I do not care. It is essentially you pick a hat pattern and you knit the hat, but the hat pattern should have something that's new to you. So anything counts. If it's just like, I don't know, you've never used DPNs, it counts. Like whatever it is, it's honor system. If you're learning, then it counts. And you can enter as much as you want. It's running from February 6th to March 20th. And I'm going to have essentially 3 prize periods. So you could do a bunch of hats, and every 2 weeks during the knit along, I'm going to pick some amount, depending on how many prizes I get. I'm going to do prizes. You can tag your progress photos, your works in progress. You can tag your finished objects. I will probably split the prizes, so some of them will be only for whips and some of them will be only for finished objects, so it's a little bit more fair. And you can enter, the primary place it's going to take place is on Instagram, because it's my favorite, it's where I'm most active. And some people here on YouTube said that they don't have Instagram, and originally I was kind of hesitant to do something about that, I guess. Not because I don't want everybody to be included, but just because I have a tendency to take on too much and then I have to maintain it all. But I realized that they were right, and there's not a lot of work to maintaining a Ravelry group. So I made a Ravelry group where you can join and submit there if you do not have Instagram. And if you have neither Instagram nor Ravelry, then just email me at drowninginyarn plus kal@gmail.com, and those will count as well. And I can post those for you on the community tab here on my YouTube channel. I was thinking of putting together a little weekly video slideshow type thing, but it depends on how many submissions I get through Gmail, how I'm going to handle that. But I'll post them in the community section. So follow along in the community tab on my YouTube channel as well. I'm the only one that can post there, but I can post on your behalf, and then the conversation can continue in the comments there. So I want everybody to get involved, and we'll all learn together. So follow the hashtag on Instagram, join the Ravelry group, follow my community tab, and that way we can all encourage each other and help each other, because we're all going to be learning something new, but it's not going to be new to everybody. So if it's not new to you, you can help that person and encourage them. Let me see. So somebody asked if I tried doing a provisional cast on over a spare cable, and I do my provisional cast on using a crochet hook. I crochet a chain around a needle, and then I knit that, which people have asked me for a tutorial, and I did a few tutorials as kind of a test, and they didn't really take off, but I kind of like doing it every now and then, so I'll probably do that tutorial eventually, but I'm not going to commit to it right now. But whips count. So if you started your Sweet Pea hat on the 5th, or you started it on last year, if you're learning something new and you're still knitting it, it counts. So don't worry if you've already started something. I do not care what you do as long as you're learning. That is the most important thing to me. And let's see. So the other thing is, I cannot talk too much about the prizes only because I do not have them in my possession and I don't know the exact details on all of them. But whenever I announce this on my Instagram in my stories, I just put out a call. If you had a business with inclusive values, it's very important to me to kind of vote with my dollars, which includes supporting Black makers, makers of color, people who support Black Lives Matter, because that's something that's very important to me. I don't want to support businesses that don't support these things. So that was kind of where the impetus of putting that in there was. And I said, if you're an inclusive business and you want to sponsor a prize, I would love to chat. And y'all, I just could not have believed who responded. So I have prizes coming. Matt Akers is going to donate some patterns to give away. The Yarnery in St. Paul, which is one of my favorite stores, they are donating. They donated a prize. I actually have that one, so I'm going to show it to y'all. Marine Styled, which is a line of activewear. So sweats, think sweats, hoodies, stuff like that. But it's from Eric Lutz, who you might know from the YouTube channel Sticks Plus Twine. It's a new venture he has. If you follow him on Instagram, you will see that he has completely made a transformation. It's amazing. And so he created a line of activewear and wanted to give a hoodie and sweat set, which I think he said this is not knitting related, but I knit in my sweats and a hoodie, so I think it's 100% knitting related. But he's giving us a hoodie and sweats to give away. Adela from Lola Bean contacted me. She is one of the sweetest, nicest, most amazing people. And she contacted me and she's sending yarn. It's actually arriving today. So I'm gonna have Lola Bean, which y'all know getting Lola Bean is like the Hunger Games if you want to get it from her. So one thing that, and the Grocery Girls talked about this on their episode yesterday, getting Lola Bean is easier if you buy from one of her stockists, which is how I got my Lola Bean. I called Looped in DC, which is my friend Logan's local yarn store, and so I followed them and they posted about it in their story, so I snatched some Lola Bean. But I'm gonna have Lola Bean to give away, which is like shocking, crazy. I could not believe it. Charity from Brian Dye Works, she's a Canadian dyer, and I have some Brian Dye Works. It's beautiful. All of her yarn is beautiful. She's donating some yarn to give away. Blue Fiber, which is dyed by a friend of mine named Josh in Portland. He's donating some yarn to give away. The lovely sisters from Beautiful Sister here in Chicago, they make project bags. They made this project bag, which was, I think, a collaboration, so it's gonna be a little different, but they make amazing project bags. Just the two sisters hand make everything. I have a bag from them to give away. Chalgu is donating a complete set of 4-inch circular needles. So I'm gonna have a complete set of Chalgu to give away. My local yarn store, I think they're putting together something. I'm not sure the details on that one, but in Chicago, I have something from them. And then Jody from the Grocery Girls messaged me and said that the Grocery Girls are going to give a gift card to their online store, which they have the cutest stuff in their online store. And then Jody is also Mrs. Brown's Bags, and she makes knitting bags like totes and stuff that have prints of yarn, like yarn knitted up, and then the bags are printed with yarn, and then she makes these bags that are gorgeous, and she says that one of the winners can pick a bag. So it's just like the support from all of these people, all these businesses, it just was insane to me. Like, I just couldn't believe it. And I think, they all have an interest in you learning and want to support that. So I thank them all so much. But these prizes are so good, and I'm so excited to share them all with you whenever I have more details and to give them away and pick winners. So definitely play along. Knit something, pick something. And I will tell you really quick, I'll show you what I have from the Yarnery. Sorry, it's gonna make some noise because I didn't take it out of this bag. But the Yarnery is one of the only places in the US, I think one of 2 places, that sells Holstgarn yarns. And way back when I first started my channel, I did a review of Holstgarn Super Soft on the cone, because these yarns are like luxury yarns, but the price points are not luxury price points. So Scott, one of the owners of the Yarnery, gave me an entire set of the Holstgarn line in green, plus some knitter's craft paper, some knitter's graph paper. And so I have this entire set to give to one person. This is the whole line of Holstgarn yarns. Each of these little cakes is a little over 300 yards, and it's a very thin fingering weight, but that's great because it blooms. It still has the spinning oil on it, and so it'll bloom whenever you block it, but you can also hold it double and get a DK weight. And I am doing that for my hat that I'm gonna make for the knit along, and I just wound it from the outside and the inside together. Super simple. But what I have is Super Soft, which is the one I reviewed in, this color is called Pea Green. This is 100% wool. I have Coast, which is the other one I reviewed in the color Grasshopper. So this is 55% wool, 45% cotton. Then Pistachio in Tides, which is what I'm using for my hat in different colors. This is 70% wool, 30% silk. And I wish I had written down the prices, but all these yarns are somewhere between like $6 and some change and $10 a ball. Then this is Noble in the color Pickle. This I used in my satellite shawl. It is 95% Geelong, which is a certain type of wool with short staple length, I believe, or long, I can't remember exactly now, but it's very soft wool, and 5% cashmere, and it is so lovely and soft. And again is like 7 something for 364 yards of a light fingering that you could hold double. This one is called Titicaca, which I think is funny, but it's the color Hunter, and this is 100% alpaca. So these are super. These are yarn cakes. It also comes on cones similar to this, but the cones you can only get straight from Denmark. These cakes come from the US, and actually if you do the pricing, it's about the same, because once you pay for shipping, the yarn cakes and the cones are cheaper, I think, in Denmark, but then the shipping's more expensive, so it really evens out. So originally I was thinking, oh, it'd be cheaper to get the cones from Holskarn themselves, but it's the same to get them from the Yarnery, and then I can support a local yarn store here in the States. So I now get all my Holskarn from the Yarnery. And last time, whenever I bought all my yarn for my satellite shawl, which was the Noble with the cashmere, and this Titicaca, which is 100% alpaca, I held one strand of each together, which gave me more of a fingering weight, because that pattern does call for 2 lace weights. I ordered my yarn online, and they gave me a call because they were out of a color, and they could not have been more helpful and more friendly. It's an awesome, awesome store. So I'm now buying all my Holskarn from them and to support them, and they're amazing, which also you can tell because they sent me all this. So let me just show you the last. So again, Titicaca, 100% alpaca. It's a very thin strand. So the way that Holskarn tells you to use it is to hold it double, and you basically go up a half a needle size when you add Titicaca to another strand. So that's how Holskarn recommends, which is what I did. And then this last one is, I want to say, Aran weight. This yarn is like a chainette construction. It's a lot thicker. All the other yarns are very thin, and it is the softest yarn I've ever felt my whole life. It's 42% alpaca, 42% fine merino wool, and 16% polyamide, so nylon, and it's so soft. So one lucky winner is going to win all this plus the knitter's graph paper, because a lot of these yarns, especially the super soft, if you go on Ravelry and look at the projects, there's a lot of colorwork projects, because it's really great for that. So you could do your own chart and then knit colorwork. But I thought that this was just the most amazing prize package, and it was so sweet of the Yarnery to give. So go check out the yarn. It's yarnery.com. I buy from them a lot, and they're so kind. Let me see. Question: if you're drowning in yarn, how come I see the floor? You see the floor back there? I don't know, because there is a floor. Let me see. This is not the floor. I don't know. I'm sorry if I can't answer that question. I'm not sure. But let's see. Yes, the cones are 500 grams. So these are 50 grams. So a cone would be 10 cakes. And they are 364 yards. So if you're knitting fingering weight, these are like really good deal. They're still a really good deal if you double it up, because you're going to get a little over 150 yards. And I am knitting the Vold hat from Atelier Cliché for sorry, I was reading the comments and got confused. I am knitting the Vold hat from Atelier Cliché for the knit along, which is this hat here. I have never done intarsia, and so I wanted to do this hat. This hat is intarsia in the round, and I think it's so cool. It calls for Woolfolk Far or Woolfolk, I think I'm saying it right, it's Flet, and that is worsted and DK. So what I'm going to do is use Tides, which is the silk and, where did I put it? The silk and wool yarn, and I'm going to knit it double for a DK weight, and so that's what I'm going to use for my Vold hat. So my new skill is intarsia. Like, I've never done intarsia. I had a swatch. I don't know where it is, but these are the colors that I'm going to use. So I have 4 colors of Tides that I got from the Yarnery. And I'm going to do that hat that I just showed you and these. So my main color will be this dark, which I believe, let me see, is called Mole. Then I'm going to use this blue Mares, this lighter blue called Frost, and then this one called Pecan. So that I'm going to turn into this hat using the yarn as a DK weight by holding it double. And I swatched, and I did not get gauge, but if I knit the larger size with and go down a needle, I'm going to end up with a hat that will fit. I figured out. I don't usually swatch for hats, but because I'm doing a new technique and I recommend this all for y'all, I recommend swatching. Let's see. Vincent from Vesuvius Craft says that's going to be fun. I agree. Thank you. Freaky Geek says, I love how you can get crochet to look like knit, but you can't have knit look like hooked like crochet, which is true. And somebody on Instagram used the hashtag already, and is doing a Tunisian crochet hat using the Tunisian knit stitch, and it looks so good. And I'm so excited to have somebody doing Tunisian crochet. My friend Grace teaches a lot of Tunisian crochet classes at Knit One Chicago. They do their classes virtually, so if you want to learn something, go check them out. All their classes are online, and Grace is an amazing teacher, and she'll do like these one-day workshops. And so she teaches a lot of Tunisian crochet, and it's on my list to learn, but I love that somebody's learning that. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna make. And Brian is knitting right now, but it looks like he's at a stopping point, so I'm gonna make him come show you what he's gonna make, even though he hates being on camera, but he's doing this for me. Oh, one other thing, I knit this piano hat in Harrisville Nightshades and Daylights, and I totally recommend this hat if you want to knit a brioche hat. It's knit top down, and then the brim is knit in 1x1 rib. So I really love it. It went pretty quick because this is only 72 stitches, and then you double the stitch count for this portion here. And it just fits really well. I knit it while I was watching Jingle Jangle over Christmas, which was an awesome movie, and it's not super Christmassy, so you could still watch it and love it. But it's hard to tell, but this Nightshades is very much like a black yarn with a green tint to it, and this Daylights is white with green tint. If you want to do brioche, the piano hat from the Westrand sisters is amazing. Super simple, top down. I love it. But Brian is going to try to get around all my crap and come over here and show you what he's been working on. Sorry, we're rearranging all of this. Here, you can hand me your stuff. Please. Sorry. Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
So, I don't have quite as much, I have a lot less stuff to show you guys, but what I recently finished was this sock, which was the Thanksgiving sock. It's perfect. It was something that was easy for me to do because there's just a lot of stockinette, but there was also the opportunity for me to learn something new with the cabling. And it's just that little strip of the cabling, so it's 20 minutes of it, and then the rest of it is just stockinette. But it was really nice, and I'm looking forward to wearing them because I did finish the set of them already, so it's going to be perfect now that it's 12 degrees outside right now, and it's going to be like 6 tomorrow.
Yeah, so Brian works. So I sit out here because I apparently don't care about my body. I like hunch over on the couch and work on my laptop. I'm like this whenever I work. But Brian is very like aware of his body and stuff, so he has a desk in the back, and it's a standing desk. And in the back of our condo, there's no unit underneath because it's like the storage area, so it's really cold. So he wanted some thick socks to keep his feet warm and wanted some new ones. So he knit these, they're called the Thanksgiving socks from Summer Lee. And again, like I said before, this is just a single pattern in that it's not a set, but there are multiple options that you can do, and he chose to do these cables, which it was super quick, right? It was easy?
Yeah.
Like easy cables?
Yeah, just 2-stitch cables.
And how many colors did you put in it?
There was a total of 4 colors. So I used some of the mini skeins that I got for Christmas that we'd given each other through a advent.
We made our own advent, so we wanted to support a bunch of different dyers. So he picked 11 and then a full skein, and I picked 11 and a full skein, and then we traded them. But you like this project? You recommend it?
Yeah, it's definitely not complicated at all, and it's a good chance to just learn something different and to have some nice warm socks for winter.
And it went quick. What was it, like 3 days?
Yeah, one of them I got done in 3 days. The other one just took a little bit longer because I was working on other stuff.
So then you just have to, or you did finish the second one, right?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I just didn't block it, and yours was on the other blocker.
Oh yeah, I just bought sock blockers. We're new to sock blocking. I thought I was going to stretch out my socks, but Summer Lee, who I believe everything she says about socks, said that she blocks all of her socks when she first knits them. And so I bought sock blockers, and I 100% recommend blocking your socks the first time because they just look gorgeous. Somebody said, Debbie Welch said she's doing a test knit for Matt Akers because she saw our interview. That's awesome, Debbie. I saw that hat in his stories, and you're lucky because that's a beautiful hat. Zach Stout says his husband Brad doesn't buy him yarn for Christmas anymore because says he has too much. Brian thinks I have too much, and I will not show you all my yarn. It always looks pretty. I may or may not kind of stage things a little bit whenever I record so that it doesn't look so hoardy, but I got a lot of yarn. So Julie Stark asked, can I see the sock, babe? She asked if it's a dropped stitched heel, which I'm not sure what that means, but it is a
just a short row.
Yeah. Do you want to tell us how you knit the heel?
It was just a wrap and turn, and because this is a you're holding fingering double, it was only 48 stitches, so it was really quick. It took like 15 minutes to do the heel, and I just wanted to finally do another short row heel because I've done like 6 or 8 pairs of socks already, and I just keep doing afterthought because I feel like it's easier.
Sorry, this other light I have power went out. Yeah, the light died, so it's a little hard to see, a little harder than I would like, but yeah, so heel flap and gusset is easy.
Yeah.
Cool. And then the next thing, so I'm so excited for Brian to show you all this. He talked about this in that, it was like my second video. I did not know what to do, and we were going to Knit One Chicago, so I just took cameras along with me. I just love gadgets, so I bought these little cameras and I took them and filmed us going to the yarn store. And Brian talked about making the spice cardigan. And at that time, you weren't sure what you were going to use for the main color, but you had decided that you were going to do spin cycle.
Yeah.
Even though it was expensive, he was going back and forth because of the price, but I was like, you're going to put so much time into it, and it's in your budget. And so think of it as spending money, not just on this finished object, because you would not go to the store and spend $300 on a sweater, but you're spending that for like the entertainment of making it. Mm-hmm. And he could. So he bought Spin Cycle and he finished the spice cardigan.
Yeah, it's not fully done yet. I need to go get some buttons for it and then finish weaving in some ends and stuff like that. But can kind of see the colors and how they change a little bit more on the back.
Let me see.
I don't know if you wanted to put it on there.
Yeah, but with the light, it's just kind of not so great. We're not getting a lot of daylight, so.
Yeah. So I really liked this one because I like cardigans. I've only made one before. I made the Ranger cardigan from Jared Flood, but I don't want to knit anything flat that's this big. And this one being steeking was perfect, and it gave me the opportunity to learn how to steek.
So it's he knit it in the round and then steeked it and then picked up and knit this band, which we'll show you closer. It's an Andrea. It's too hard. It's too close. So we'll just. It's an Andrea Mowry pattern. I'm sure you've all seen it. And the main color is.
I don't even remember the color. It's wool stock though.
Will you hold up this? It's hard to show.
Yeah.
It has pockets. So it's Woolstock worsted from Blue Sky Fibers. And then the contrast color is Spin Cycle Dream State.
Stay Ready is the color.
Stay Ready.
Yeah.
And as he was knitting it, he was so concerned because you knit it bottom up. And he started with the sleeves. And he was concerned that the color shifting wasn't apparent. But I really think you can see it, but it's so subtle. And I think it actually worked out better for his style. because it's very subtle, but it's there. And it's just a gorgeous color. And his color choices, I think, are just like impeccable. And it's funny because he's a lot more self-conscious as a knitter, but I would, if I saw this, I'd just be like, like, nope, I'm not doing that much color work. But Brian, like, not having ever steeked nothing, was just like, oh yeah, I'll do this, and just made it. And I was talking to, oh, hi, Misty. Misty says hi, Caleb and the gang. Oh, and I saw somebody else said that they meant for the heel on the Thanksgiving socks, a slip stitched heel, and it wasn't a slip stitch heel. But I was talking to Earth Tones girl, Denise, and I said, oh, Brian is a self-conscious knitter. I was like, and then I told her about this project, and she goes, how could you call him that? She's like, he is a fearless knitter. And she's right, because he had never steeked, and he came out and was like, oh, I'm gonna knit a swatch to practice steeking. And I was like, oh, well, I have some swatches from my Forbes sweater, just take one. And so he went into the back, he sewed it and steeked it, and then he came out and threw these 2 swatch pieces and said, I'm ready. And he went in the back and he steeked a sweater. Like, this whole process was an hour. And I just could not have. Like, he just, like, he killed it, and he made the most beautiful thing. So
I really like it. And I learned a few things about steeking, though. Like, if when you're ready to do your steeking, maybe just hand sew some kind of contrast color yarn so you know where it goes, because mine kind of shifted a little bit when it was going through the sewing machine. So I've been kind of spending time trying to duplicate stitch and fix what was caused by that. It wasn't a huge shift, but it was noticeable, and it's.
Do you mean like
almost covered it up?
Like a basting in the spot with like a fingering weight or something?
Yeah. So
that you can see where, as a guide for your sewing machine. He steeked with the sewing machine. Not everybody does.
Yeah.
Why did you choose that? Okay, so you thought it'd be faster.
Yeah, and I'd read on forums and stuff that it's usually better because you can just kind of make the stitches on the sewing machine a lot smaller and make sure that everything catches.
And did you feel like it held securely when you were steeking?
Yeah, it did. Because this is worsted weight, and then when you have a really small zigzag stitch on the sewing machine, it definitely caught everything on here, which is perfect.
I just love it.
And it's really warm. I've only worn it for like a few minutes around the house because I need to finish it up and put on the buttons and everything, but it is really warm, and it's going to be perfect in this cold area.
Urban Yarn said, can I email you, Brian, whenever I steek my first cardigan?
Yeah, sure.
There you go. So Brian is on Instagram and posts a lot less frequently than me. So he's probably a more enjoyable follow because he posts only when there's something really good to post. And he is Brian Loves Cake. And there's only like 10 pictures, but they're all beautiful. And this is on there. So that's where you should go to follow him and see what he makes. Because he makes a lot of beautiful things.
A little behind though. I have like 4 or 5 things that I still haven't put up there, but I don't know if I'll get to that.
He made this too, by the way. This is his Cozy Classic Raglan.
Oh, yeah.
What is the yarn that you used?
This was
Acadia?
Acadia, yeah.
From the
Fiber Company.
The Fiber Company Acadia, which is silk and wool.
Yeah, it's so nice. I love it. It was the first time ever I didn't do, it was just one strand, like I didn't hold anything double or anything like Caleb did, but it's nice, it's very comfortable, and I want to make more. I just have other things I need to get through first, but I think it's the perfect like go-to sweater pattern.
So his is just a DK weight, and he was concerned because whenever he first made it, it was like a little bit tight, but then with blocking, it's like a perfect fit. So yeah, Brian Loves Cake on Instagram. Do you want to put this on? Somebody asked if you don't have to because there's not really a whole lot of room to stand up. So
I can do it in a sec after I talk about this.
Okay. So then next he's going to show you what he's going to make for the knit along, which somebody asked if Brian was my inspiration for the knit along. And honestly, like much like I do everything else, it was like a couple days before I like announced it, I said I should do a knit along. And came up with the idea. Originally, I was going to do a swatch along, but then I thought, I was talking to my friend, they were like...
Nobody wants to swatch.
Yeah, which I wanted to do a swatch along because I want to learn to love swatching, and I think it's the perfect way to learn stuff, but nobody wants to do that. But then, oh my gosh, I follow Gwyn by Designs on Instagram, and she is doing this thing where you do one swatch a month. And so I'm going to do that to like get my swatch fix. And I'm going to do one swatch a month with a new stitch pattern, and I'm going to do them all in like, she suggested linen or cotton, and then all in the same color, and then maybe frame them if they're pretty, and he agrees with it. But that's what I'm doing for swatching. But then I thought, oh, a hat. I was looking through our hat collection, and I've done all these things that I learned by knitting hats that I never would have tackled on a bigger project. And so I thought that's the perfect thing to start with. So here we are.
And it's a great one skein project.
Yeah, which, Brian, here, I'll put it here.
Oh. Yeah, so I'm using Germantown by Kelborn Woolens. And what's this pattern? It's the snare hat.
This is so the light.
Oh yeah, you can even tell.
Sorry, 1 second. Let's see if I can get at least. So it's like a.
It's called rhododendron.
It's hard
right?
to tell. Yeah, yeah. The light's not playing along. So it's called rhododendron from Germantown, and he is making the snare hat by Nora Gone.
Yeah. So it's just a twisted stitch pattern. Kind of looks like cabling, and I've never done it before, and I know nothing about it. But I did start the swatch, and I need to start it again because it's not that twisted stitches are hard, it's that I got out of pattern probably because of the line, but who knows what it is. But I'm just going to restart it again, and I'm looking forward to the hat because I've never done a hat like this, and I've never even done a cabled hat.
Freaky Geek said if he starts to follow you and doesn't see, or they start to follow you and don't see cakes, they'll be kind of sad. But you're not going to see cakes. Mostly because cake doesn't last very long in this house.
No.
No food does, because I eat a lot. Brian, whenever we moved in together, he was concerned that he was going to have to lock up all the sweets because I have impulse control issues, which you can tell from all the things that I buy. And he was concerned I was just going to eat everything, and he was never going to have snacks. But I've been pretty good.
There still might be some locked away though.
Oh, I'll find them. But so these twisted stitches, by the way, I thought whenever I read twisted stitches and patterns that they were just like when you knit through the back loop and your stitch is twisted. But it's like this whole cabling technique where you don't use a cable needle, and it creates essentially cables, which I have a book. Oops. So I got Nora Gone's Twisted Stitch source book. Where am I going? And so these are twisted stitches, and you do these by with no cable needle. You knit the stitches kind of out of order, and I've never done it, but it's my second project that I'm going to do. And Brian said that he got out of the pattern, but so he's going to re-swatch. But would you say it's easy?
Yeah, it is. It's just like you knit two together, but then you don't pull both stitches off the needle. You just knit into the next stitch after that, and then you pull them off the needle. Is for the right leaning twist. So it's not difficult or anything. It's just you have to make sure that you're doing it correctly and that your yarn's not splitting, obviously, because then it will look a little crazy like mine did. But once you get a few rows, you can it's clearer to see where the pattern is going, so that you know if you're doing it wrong, and it's easier to kind of go back. I just didn't get that far in my swatch. It's just a couple inches, so I'm going to restart it this afternoon.
But we both love Germantown. It's just like a nice workhorse yarn. It's not too expensive. We get it from Knit One Chicago, but it's also available on Knit Picks. I think it's the only non-Knit Picks yarn they have. It's just a worsted weight, very like Cascade 220-ish, not too expensive. You get 220 yards. It's amazing. So that's what he's using. And the pattern is, again, the snare hat. It's a Nora Gone pattern, but it's for Brooklyn Tweed. So it is written for Shelter, and we both love Brooklyn Tweed, like love Brooklyn Tweed, but he had this yarn, and we were trying to be a little bit more mindful of knitting from the stash. So yeah. Oh, and I showed you this book really briefly. Again, it's Twisted Stitch source book by Nora Gone. This pattern is not from this, but this it just is a lot of there's a few patterns, but there's a lot of charts for twisted stitches. But if there's interest, I could go through and make an episode where I talk about some of my favorite books I bought a lot recently and some amazing ones, and maybe do some deeper dives on some of them. So I might do some reviews, which leads me to let me know, like send me an email, leave a comment on my videos, or message me on Instagram if there's something that you want to see from me. I come up with my topics like last minute, like Friday night, and then film it. So if y'all have stuff that you want to see, I would not mind hearing it, because I may do it. I may not, but I may. But that's really all that we had. Did you have anything else you want to show?
No, I think that's really it. I mean, yeah, nothing's near me anyway.
Yeah, we're kind of squeezed in.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. I had so much fun. I've been so nervous about this since I decided to do it. But the fact that there's over 100 of you here and you're all so lovely, like, thank you so much. I've said this before, but like, when I started this channel, I did not think it was going to go anywhere. And like, the idea that people like give a crap what I have to say is shocking to me, but you guys all make me feel so loved, and I appreciate it so much. And I have so much fun doing this, and thank you for coming to this live stream. And
Thanks.
yeah, and thanks Brian for coming. He's so shy and doesn't love being on camera, but he did it for me. So, but yeah, so thank you so much. We're gonna leave here and go knit and enjoy our day, and I hope you all do the same thing. So I'll see you later.
Bye.
If I can figure out how to end it.